Stranger Things just dropped a shocking twist. Vecna's dark origin story might actually mirror Will's past. But here's the real question, does this mean Will secretly has powers we've never seen before? Or is this just one of the wildest fan theories out there? What's up, Stranger Things fam? I'm Explainverse, and today we're diving into one of the biggest mysteries that could change everything we know about Season 5. Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal might blow your mind. Let's jump in. Now that I've taken a step back, looked closer, and done some deeper research, I want to explore one of the biggest questions heading into Stranger Things Season 5. Could Will Byers secretly have powers of his own? We already know that Will is going to be the central character this season. It all began with him, and everything is going to end with him. Even the promotional poster teases this shift. Back in Season 1, Will was placed last, hidden in the background. But in the new poster, he's front and center, clearly signaling his importance to the story's conclusion. That's why a very strong theory has been gaining traction. Will might have powers similar to 11. At first it sounds wild, but when you dig into the lore and some newly revealed material, it suddenly doesn't feel impossible at all. To explain this, I need to bring up something fascinating from Stranger Things: The First Shadow, a stage play that's actually canon within the show's universe. And trust me, it holds some shocking answers. So here's what the play reveals. It takes place long before the events of Season 4, and tells the story of how Henry Creel, who we now know as Vecna, first gained his powers. As a boy, Henry was described as sensitive, different, even broken by teachers and doctors. But everything changed when he and his family were living in Nevada. While exploring a cave, Henry stumbled upon fragments of Project Nevada, pieces stolen from Brenner's early experiments to reach Dimension X. When Henry accidentally triggered those fragments, he opened a portal. He and a scientist were pulled straight into Dimension X. The scientist didn't survive, but Henry did, and that's where everything began. Inside Dimension X, Henry encountered something terrifying, the entity we know as the Mind Flayer. Now here's where things get really interesting. Season 4 made it seem like Vecna created the Mind Flayer out of his obsession with spiders, but the play clarifies that the Mind Flayer already existed in its raw, primal form within Dimension X. What Vecna did later was give it shape, sculpting it into the spider-like monster we recognize. But back to young Henry. After spending 12 hours inside Dimension X, he returned to the real world, changed forever. His blood was altered, he had a direct link to the Mind Flayer, and his strange new powers began to surface. This origin story shows us that Henry didn't just develop powers on his own, he was transformed by prolonged exposure to Dimension X. And now here's the big connection. What if the same thing is happening to Will? We know Will spent more time connected to the Upside Down and the Mind Flayer than any other character. He's been possessed, controlled, and marked in ways that no one else has. If Henry's exposure as a child fundamentally altered his body and mind, could Will's experiences be leading him down a similar path? That's the mystery we're diving into today. So, Vecna was a young, sensitive, different boy who didn't fit in, who accidentally went to the Upside Down, was exposed, and had contact with the Mind Flayer. Does that remind you of anyone? If the series really brings all this from the play and this background into Season 5, it's easy to connect Vecna's story with Will's story. And so, if Vecna went through all that and got powers, and Will went through something similar, why couldn't Will also have powers, you know? But although their pasts are similar, there are also some differences in what happened afterward. When Vecna returned from the Upside Down, from Dimension X at that time, he came back already different, more sinister, started doing some bizarre things and began awakening his powers early on. Later, Brenner forced him, tortured him, and helped him refine his powers even more, and, well, he became the monster he became, you know? Will, on the other hand, didn't. Will came back different, but not in an evil way. It was a different kind of change, with post-traumatic stress, you know? Really shaken. Will never, in any of the episodes, showed any signs of having powers like 11 or anything like that, you know? And another difference, young Henry Creel was exposed to Dimension X, while Will was exposed to the Upside Down. They're similar, but as I mentioned earlier, Dimension X is much worse, so it's much more likely that Henry Creel got powers the way he did than Will getting powers just because of that, you know? So, with everything I've said, there are two possibilities. since Will has a past very similar to Vecna's, and Vecna has powers, and Will is still tormented by the Mind Flayer. If Vecna has powers, Will might have powers too. The difference is that Will hasn't awakened them yet, you know? But from what we've seen, in Season 5, he'll have plenty of moments to potentially awaken them. So, let's see. There could be that wow moment where everyone thinks Will is going to die, but then, bam! He's not dead, he's got powers, you know? And diving a bit deeper into this idea of Will having powers, it would even help explain why Vecna and the Mind Flayer are so obsessed with Will and keep targeting him. You know, they might have taken Will to the Upside Down because Vecna saw himself in Will, since their pasts are so similar, and thought he could train him, guide him, and turn him into someone as powerful as himself, as Vecna. But Will escaped and took a different path. So since Will isn't on their side and went through what Vecna did, Will has to die. Because if Will has powers, he could be as powerful as Vecna, and that would be bad for them. So that's why Will is still a target of the Upside Down. But there's also another possibility. Since Will's past isn't exactly the same as Vecna's, Will doesn't have powers. He was just in the right place at the right time, and that's why he ended up in the Upside Down. And personally, I prefer this version where Will doesn't have powers. He's a guy, or rather, a young man, who was exposed to something so absurd, so terrifying when he was a kid, that even now, he suffers from post-traumatic stress, you know? But this post-traumatic stress is so heavy that it's literally still haunting him and won't let him move on. Now it's up to Season 5 to explain all this. Why do Vecna and the Mind Flayer want Will so badly? Why won't they leave the kid alone? And why didn't they kill Will when they had the chance? You know, because let's be honest, if the Mind Flayer and Vecna really wanted to kill Will, they would have done it in Season 1. They didn't want to. Now why? And why do they keep bothering him and going after him all the time? All of this is still up in the air, and Season 5 might answer it, but not necessarily by connecting it to Will having powers. You know? Because, man, if Will has powers and awakens them in Season 5, and ends up being more powerful than 11, man, that would be really bad. 11 has been training her powers since the beginning, man. Now in Season 5 she's starting to learn how to fly, and then out of nowhere Will gets powers and is more powerful than her to defeat Vecna. Man, that would be really forced, you know? So here's my question for you. Do you prefer Will having powers, or would you rather see him stay the way he is? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to see where the fandom stands on this one. Theory that might finally answer one of the biggest mysteries of the series, and the crazy part, neither the leaks nor the end of filming revealed it. But Season 4 already did. Stick around, because this theory changes everything about the finale. If you've been following the channel since last year, when I covered the filming of Stranger Things 5, you'll remember I showed a ton of set images and really interesting details. But one thing production kept under absolute lock and key was 11's final battle with Vecna, and especially how it ends. Now don't worry, this video isn't about spoilers. I won't get into the confirmed leaks we already know. Those are in other videos. What I want to talk about today is something different. A theory that actually started back in 2022 when Season 4 was released. At the time it was just a small fan idea, but later, with more set details, teasers, and official reveals, especially the Toodum event and the July 16th teaser, the theory grew stronger, and today, it makes more sense than ever. To explain it, we need to go back to Season 4, the first time we met Vecna. That was the season where the Hawkins gang managed to win a battle against him, but not the war. And here's the thing, before Vecna even appeared on screen in Season 4, before he started unleashing his terrifying powers, the series gave us a huge clue about how this story could end. It happens in Episode 1, during the introduction of Eddie Munson, the fan-favorite character played by Joseph Quinn. Now this theory isn't about Eddie returning in Season 5, so don't get your hopes up just yet. I bring him up because of the role he plays in this first episode, as Dungeon Master of the Hellfire Club. This is where, for the very first time in Stranger Things, we hear the name Vecna. Just like the Demogorgon back in Season 1, Vecna first shows up not in Hawkins, but in the Kids Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and that's important. So, the group needs to carry out their campaign, right? But here's the twist. Lucas isn't there. He's at a massive high school basketball game, one of the most important of the year. That's when his sister Erica steps in to take his place. At first, Eddie laughs her off, but she quickly proves she knows the game inside and out. Reluctantly, Eddie lets her play, and the campaign begins. And here's where things get brilliant. The climactic D&D battle against Vecna happens at the exact same time as Lucas's basketball game. The editing cuts back and forth. Erica rolling the dice, Eddie narrating the fight, Lucas sitting on the bench, the tension mounting both in the game and on the court. Then, just as Erica makes her big move against Vecna, Lucas is called in for the decisive play of the match. Two battles happening in parallel, one on the table, one on the court. This isn't just clever storytelling, it's foreshadowing. And here's where it gets brilliant. The scene keeps cutting back and forth. Lucas on the basketball court, Erica and the others in the Hellfire Club battling Vecna. Both sides are fighting their own war, and both are struggling. It starts with Eddie declaring, "Vecna's back." The players dive in, roll their dice, and immediately, it's a massacre. Vecna wipes them out one by one. Hit points vanish, characters fall, the table grows silent. Meanwhile, Lucas's basketball team is falling apart too, missing shots, getting crushed. The parallel couldn't be clearer. As one side falters, so does the other. Eventually the party is almost completely wiped out. Only two players remain, Dustin and Erica. Eddie gives them the option to retreat, even says, "There's no shame in running." But they refuse. They're going for it. Dustin rolls first. He needs a perfect 20 to take Vecna down. The die spins. Everyone leans in. And it lands on 11, so close, but not enough. Eddie shakes his head. No, it fails. Vecna stands strong, and right at that moment, Lucas's team takes a shot at the basket. The ball circles the rim, teeters on the edge, and falls out. Another failure. Both games, both fights, slipping away. But then it's Erica's turn. She grabs the die, determination in her eyes. At the exact same time, the missed basketball bounces to Lucas. He takes the ball, sets up for the final shot. Erica rolls. Lucas shoots. The die spins. The ball flies. The result? Erica rolls a 20. The miracle they needed. She slays Vecna in the game. Lucas's shot swishes through the net, winning the championship. 2 victories, perfectly in sync. But here's the key. Erica wasn't even supposed to be there. She was filling in for Lucas. In a way, Lucas didn't win alone. He won because his sister stepped in. And this is the big symbolism Stranger Things was planting from the very first episode of Season 4. Defeating Vecna cannot be done alone. 11 isn't enough on her own. Even Dustin's role of 11 tells us that. To win, she needs help. She needs her family, her friends, and maybe even her sister. Because here's the detail a lot of people miss. While Lucas is winning that game, he's wearing jersey number 8. Think about it. His sister helps him win. His number is 8. Symbolism much? For 11 to truly defeat Vecna, she may need number 8, Kali. Now Netflix has never confirmed Kali's return, and if they were going to, they wouldn't spoil it early. Stranger Things doesn't need extra hype to sell the final season. If Kali does come back, it'll be as a jaw-dropping surprise. And honestly, it makes too much sense to ignore. If you're still here, it means you didn't just watch. You truly enjoyed this video, so please, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every click, every sub, keeps me motivated to work harder and bring you the very best content. Your support means the world to me. Let's keep this journey going together. And remember, last year, during the filming of Season 5 in Atlanta, rumors swirled about a surprise appearance from a key character, Kali, played by Linnea Berthelsen. Now, Linnea doesn't live anywhere near Atlanta, but she was spotted there during a critical filming window. Coincidence? I think not. While nothing's confirmed, this has sparked serious speculation that Kali returned to play a pivotal role in the epic showdown against Vecna. And trust me, this theory doesn't just stop at Kali. It's a wild ride that ties directly into Dungeons & Dragons and the ultimate plan to take down the Upside Down's big bad. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's dive in. First, let's talk about why Kali's return makes perfect sense. We know 11 is a powerhouse, but taking on Vecna solo? That's a tall order. Back in Season 2, we saw 11 struggle to close those massive Hawkins rifts on her own. She needed help. Enter Kali, one of the lab's lost test subjects, whose powers could be the key to tipping the scales. But this isn't just about Kali. To defeat Vecna, our heroes will need to channel the ultimate Dungeons & Dragons strategy, and here's where it gets juicy. In Dungeons & Dragons, Vecna is no ordinary villain. He's got legendary resistances and reactions, meaning even if you blast through his hit points, he can bounce back like a supernatural cockroach if he's got those resistances left. To truly defeat him, you need a legendary weapon called the Chime, a set of tuned bells, each ringing with a specific purpose. Sound familiar? Picture our Stranger Things crew as the Chime, a group of characters each perfectly tuned to their unique role, working together to shatter Vecna's defenses. In the game, the Chime has limited uses, so timing is everything. One wrong move and it's game over. Translate that to the show, and we're looking at a carefully orchestrated group attack, where every character plays a critical part at just the right moment. So how does this go down? Picture 11 leading the charge, her powers blazing as the main force. But she's not alone. Swoop in, maybe joined by another lost test subject, or even our non-powered heroes like Dustin, Mike, and Lucas, each bringing their unique strengths to the table. Together, they'll strip away Vecna's legendary resistances, leaving him vulnerable for the final blow. But here's the kicker. Vecna's greatest weakness might just be the one person he's been linked to since day one, Will Byers. This season, we're diving deeper into Will's connection to Vecna. Leaked material from last year's filming hints that Will has been Vecna's spy, his builder, his vessel from the very start. Their bond is so intense that if you hurt the hive mind, Will feels it. But here's the flip side. If you hurt Will, could Vecna feel it too? This theory suggests Will might make a daring move. A fake sacrifice to weaken Vecna. That's right, Will's not going out for good. He might offer himself up, tricking Vecna into exposing his vulnerabilities, only to survive through some clever twist we can't yet predict. How exactly does he pull off this fake-out? That's the million-dollar question, and we'll need more clues to crack it. Once Vecna's defenses are down, the Chime, our heroes, will strike in perfect harmony, with 11 at the forefront, possibly backed by Kali or others, to deliver the killing blow. And those massive portals tearing Hawkins apart? Closing them might fall to 11, maybe with a boost from Kali's powers or a concentrated surge of her own strength. We know from last year's leaks that those rifts will close, so the stage is set for an epic finale. But let's circle back to Will. His fake sacrifice could be the emotional heart of this plan. By offering himself up, he weakens Vecna, paving the way for the group to finish the job. The beauty of this theory is how it weaves together every character's role, from the powered-up heroes to the everyday kids we've loved since Season 1, all working as one to bring Vecna down. As for how Will survives his sacrifice, that's a puzzle we'll tackle in a future video, so stay tuned. What do you think of this theory? Now before we wrap up, I want to quickly clear up a couple of things. Fire is actually Vecna's weakness. That's why the characters use flamethrowers against him. And yet, he still manages to repel so much of it. What's really interesting though is how much weaker Vecna looks right now. He's thinner, weaker, clearly not at full strength. But here's the twist. I think he's going to get a serious power boost. I saw a really interesting theory where people suggested that the Mind Flayer could merge with Vecna, creating a supreme creature of the Upside Down. Imagine that, maybe even transforming into the three-headed dragon teased since Season 1. How insane would that be? Another quick update about those rumored episode lengths that went viral on TikTok. Total fake. Ross Duffer himself confirmed it, saying it's not even close to being true. Still, I do believe most of the episodes will be at least an hour long, maybe longer. Especially the finale, which I'd bet runs over 2 hours. Think of it like the Avengers, endgame of Stranger Things. November still feels far away, but trust me, I'm already preparing. I'll be doing full coverage, breakdowns, and even season recaps to get us ready for the final chapter. So, tell me in the comments, do you want me to drop full season recaps before Season 5? Or would you prefer deeper theory breakdowns leading up to the premiere? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel reach more fans like you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay strange.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I breathe.